Om, Chris and Vivian.
This is a lot. It's right here.
Okay, here. Turn off, on. We'll find out. Oh, I see. Some lunch. No. Change it. Afterwards, I'll talk to you. Doctor went somewhere. He'll come. Where is the... Oh, here. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishabhai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Together. विदिताखिलशास्त्रसुधा जलधे महितोपनिषत् कथितार्थनिधे हृदये कलये विमलं शरणं. Slightly different tune, but that's okay. No problem. You want the other tune. We should stick with one so that we have the... विदिताखिलशास्त्रसुधा जलधे महितोपनिषत् कथितार्थनिधे हृदये कलये विमलं चरणम्. विमलं चरणम् भवशङ्करदेशिकमे शरणं. भवशङ्करदेशिक मे शरणं करुणावरुणालय पालय मां भवसागरदुःखविदूनहृदं रजयाखिलदर्शनतत्त्वविदं भवशङ्करदेशिक मे शरणं भवशङ्करदेशिक मे शरणं भवता जनता सुखिता भविता निजबोधविचारणचारुमते कलयेश्वर जीव विवेकविदं भवशङ्करदेशिक मे शरणं भवशङ्करदेशिक मे शरणं सुकृते व्हाट्स द नेक्स्ट वन भवानिति मे नितरां समजायत चेतसि कौतुकिता मम वारय मोहमहाजलधिं भवशङ्करदेशिक मे शरणं भवशङ्करदेशिक मे शरणं कृते धिकृते बहुधा भवतो भविता समदर्शनलालसता अतिदीनमिमं परिपालय मां भवशङ्करदेशिक मे शरणं भवशङ्करदेशिक मे शरणं जगतीमवितुं कलिताकृतयो विचरन्ति महामहसश्चलतः अहिमांशुरिवात्र विभासि गुरो भवशङ्करदेशिक मे शरणं भवशङ्करदेशिक मे शरणं गुरुपुङ्गवपुङ्गवकेतनते समतां मयतां नहि कोऽपि सुधीः शरणागतवत्सलतत्त्वनिधे भवशङ्करदेशिक मे शरणं भवशङ्करदेशिक मे शरणं विदितानमया विशदैककला न च किञ्चन काञ्चनमस्ति गुरो द्रुतमेव विधेहि कृपां सहजां भवशङ्करदेशिक मे शरणं भवशङ्करदेशिक मे शरणम् कलय ईश्वर जीव ईश्वर ईश्वर जीव विवेक विथ ईश्वर जीव विवेक विदम कलय. So the word is ईश्वर जीव विवेक with and second case ईश्वर जीव विवेक विदम. Okay, so what is this compound ईश्वर जीव विवेक with? Ishvara and Jiva. What are they? According to most people, two different things. That's right, because Ishvara is Ishvara and Jiva is Jiva, Piva, full of peeves, pet peeves. And so, never they are like two different things, never the two shall meet. This is the idea. Now, Vedanta is, the crux of Vedanta teaches that the crux of Vedanta is the Mahavakya that talks of the identity between Jiva and who? Ishvara. Between Ishvara and Jiva, this is what Vedanta talks of the identity between the two. Jiveshvarayoho Aikyam Vakyam Mahavakyam. So the Mahavakya definition is that like Tattvamasi, Aham Brahmasmi, Prajnanam Brahma. These are all what? Short, sentences that unfold the whole teaching, which takes years and years and years to assimilate. And so, what is that short sentence? Tattvamasi, 3 words. Aham Brahmasmi, 2 words. 3 words. Prajnanam Brahma, 2 words. Ayam Atma Brahma, 3 words. So it's all just in 3 words, just a matter of few syllables. The whole teaching is communicated. And so here he is saying Kalaya Mam. Kalaya means make. It has many meanings, as I told you. Make, keep, place, contemplate, etc. So many things. So Kalaya, 10th case. So Kalaya, from Kal to make, to place, to keep, and to meditate upon. All these things, all these senses are there. So Mam Kalaya, make me. Make me into what? Make me famous. He doesn't ask that. Make me have riches. Like you did to that lady when you went to her house and rained golden gooseberries. Little bit of gooseberries would be nice here also. No. Make me have a good wife. He could have asked that. No. Make me have lot of land, because in those days cattle land was a sign of, well established, good settled, wealth and all these things. No. No cattle, no land, no nothing. And what does he ask? And he doesn't even say, give me good buddhi. He directly says, make me into an Ishvara Jiva Viveka with the knower. Knower of what? Ishvara and Jiva as 2 separate entities? No. The Viveka, that ability to discern the spoof between Ishvara and Jiva, make me into that, the one who is not fooled by the 2 words, and the one who knows that both the words have their resting place in that one endless consciousness which obtains as I. That same consciousness with a different dress is called Ishvara. Glorious dress, And we are getting so many photos from NASA these days. Curiosity goes and sends us photos of Mars. And now, to compete with that, there is another one, a girl, Juno. Juno goes and sends us photos of Jupiter. Jupiter is very good looking. Of course, Brihaspati. Brihaspati has to be very good looking. Yeah, from close, very nice looking, smooth, so nice. And Juno goes and takes so many photos and sends. And then there are all these sends. There is one called the Eye of God, all these nebula, these nebulous gases. There's one big eye that is watching. Seems like, so they've named it the Eye of God. And there's so many things. There's smoke, there's color, there is fire, there's all kinds of things. And that is the dress of Ishvara. That same consciousness is wearing a dress full of NASA photos, lined by galaxies, little gas for the border, frills, everything, color, lot of, aplomb, grandeur, grand cloak, grand dress. And that is called, that same consciousness, called Ishvara. And that same consciousness wears some beggary tatters, That is also a costume. The costume of that consciousness, wearing the dress of a begging individual with a, part of the costume is the begging bowl. Gimme, gimme, gimme. That's part of the costume. Carrying the begging bowl, goes around saying what? I don't have. Starts to believe in the role, starts to believe in the dress, identifying with the dress, starts to cry. Need not even cry, because the dress itself is lined by tears and fears. The border is tears and fears. That's all it is. And so all the tears go and, embellish the dress like sequins. So instead of sequins and all those nice glittery things, instead of bling, there is only crying. There's only tears. So a dress lined with tears, is wearing a rag, basically, a rag, and this rag, believing in the rag, which is one's own body. Yeah, it's like a rag. You throw it away after it goes. Yeah. Even if you don't want to throw it away, it will be cast off. Jatasya hi dhruvo mrityuhu. For that which is born, death is certain. What is born? So, when you celebrate the birthday, you're celebrating the birthday for the body, not for you. So this tattered dress, it's like it's like in the olden, not even olden, these days also in the rural areas, they have a 10-day drama called, Rama Leela, which is the story of, what is that called? Yeah, Ramayana. So, Ramayana, they enact over 10 days during this, it's going to come, Dasara time, this Navaratri time, one day, one, little portion. And then who is Rama? The village ironsmith. Yeah. The one who makes horse shoes and buffalo shoes and cow shoes. The one who makes, people take their old tawa, on which they make their dosa. There is a hole in it, so he patches it up and gives. People take old vessels and he cleans them up and, does soldering job for all the ladies in the village. And then also attends to, other things that the village needs. You need chain, you need things, whatever the village economy needs, he's there. But he happens to be, tall and stands out and has got a good cut of a face and everything. And so he's repeatedly cast as what? Rama. And so then what happens? Sometimes it gets to the head. And also once you're in that dress, you start believing, yes, Rama, Ramoham, like Shivoham, Ramoham, I am indeed Rama. And then, he goes to the local toddy shop. Toddy means local brew. Yeah, and I am not talking of coffee. And so, morning brew, evening brew. So then he goes to the toddy shop, and then everybody says, oh, Rama has come, and, out of indulgence, 1 or 2 free drinks he gets because he's dressed in Rama costume, because he's just, relaxing after the play, because it's not easy to be Lord Rama. Poor fellow is all stressed out. And then he goes and he relaxes with his friends, but he's too lazy to take off the costume. And so they say, all right, because 4 more days of the, Rama Leela is left. So they indulge him, give him 2-3 drinks for free. And the village ladies, they all, and the men also, they all fall at his feet when he comes to the stage. Such is the Shraddha of India. Even the dress of Lord Rama is enough to get a few namaskars. And so they bring the fellow fruits, and then they bring the fellow, nice, whatever they made at home, pongal and all these sweet dishes, they bring, and they heap upon him everything. And sometimes even money is left for him. And then by the 9th day, he is fattened by all this good food and good attention. What happens? Let's say he refuses to take the costume off. He refuses to take the costume off. Why? Because he's getting a lot of attention. And, Ravana is not even allowed in the local bar. First of all, the door is too small for all the 10 heads. He has to go this way. How will he go? And everybody says, "Chhi, thu, get out," because they take all this seriously. Then on the 10th day, because this fellow, the village ironsmith, blacksmith, does not even, own the dress that he's wearing. In reality, all that malas, the chains, the crowns, and the silk, what is that? All the various silk dresses, sherwanis, and everything that he wore belongs to the drama company. And the drama company also is just has rented it from somewhere else. Doesn't even belong to them. And so then they ask him to take off the clothes, and if he refuses, they forcibly take the clothes off, and then they pack up and leave, only to come back next year. Correct? Then what happens? And the village women, a group of irate village women, the same ones who gave him fruits and flowers and fell at his feet yesterday, they come and say, all our work is pending. You have been lazy, you haven't done anything. Because really speaking, he's a happy-go-lucky, not interested in anything types, Yeah. And Ramayana is the only is the only claim to fame. So 10 days in the year he is famous. And so then after the 10 days are over, everybody yells at him. And the husband of one of the ladies throws his juta, his shoe at him, and forces him to work. Correct? Yeah. So the truth is what is that you cannot take the costume too seriously, otherwise it will have disastrous consequences. Because if on the 11th day he goes and demands free drink at the bar, they will throw him out unceremoniously. They will take him, and then they will not even wait to open the door. They will throw him out of the window itself. They will say, don't come back, until next Ramayana perhaps. So, and suppose Ravana, whenever he goes out on the road, when has got those, 10 heads, and then he's got an evil expression in all the masks, and then he is accused of arson, he's accused of abduction, he's accused of all kinds of things. He's a very bad man. And then the people on the road, if they see him in the costume, they look the other way, the really good people. The other people throw chappals at him and throw all kinds of things at him and make him also miserable. And let us say he took his costume very seriously. Two outcomes we can see. One is he'll swear revenge on the whole village. How can they do this? I'm going to take revenge on each and every one, Let's say Ravana is the village goldsmith. He'll say, I'm going to steal from them because they have treated me so badly. But they're not treating him badly. Who are they treating? The one in the Ravana costume. They're treating Ravana badly. The one who deserves it, actually. They're not treating him badly. But he doesn't understand that. Or the second way this trajectory, this narrative can go is that he needs a therapist because he's very guilty. Look at all the things I've done. Poor Sita, what did she do to me? Why did I do this? Another man's wife, how can I even, First of all, it's a papa karma to even desire another person's wife, and much less, that itself is a papa. What to talk of dragging her, forcibly tricking them and dragging her and causing this, big war. How could I do this? Shame on me. And I really need some counseling. It can go like that. So, this is what the whole thing. And suppose there is a modern day drama, and then one has the role of a begging person. Oh, I have nothing. Kuch nahi hai. Nothing to show. I'm sad, I'm mad, I'm bad. Slings and arrows of outrageous fortune have landed upon me. Why my life is so bad? At first the actor feels very happy. See, I'm getting into the role. Look at that. Maybe there's an Oscar in it. I'm getting into the role. I'm able to cry without drops of glycerine, being put in the eye, or, some mirchi powder or something, Yeah, when glycerine doesn't work, you need some, something strong, yeah. Something strong, maybe some eucalyptus or something like that. Or if nothing else works, Vicks Vapor Rub. You just put over the eyelids, and then, you will weep a bucket, no problem, So like this, we'll need all these things, all these props, first to make him cry because he's not into the role. Really speaking, he doesn't even identify with the role. He lives in Beverly Hills. Yeah, on a mountain which he owns, along with his family. His own mountain, which overlooks the beach. He owns the beach, he owns the mountains, and he's got a big mansion. And if you ask him how many rooms does it have, he's forgotten. He doesn't remember. And a mansion so big that he himself frequently gets lost in it. That big a mansion as the owner, okay? And so he cannot get into this role. And so the director is frustrated with him. Cut, cut, cut. What is this? Cut. Stop. You're not doing your role properly. Just go, spend a day in the homeless shelter or something and find out how they live and have that experience and have that identity. You have to identify with the role a little bit, director says. Then he says, okay, sir, I'll come back tomorrow. And then he does a little more research and he imagines, There also he has difficulty. First he imagines, what if this mansion is taken away? And the answer quickly comes, I'll buy another one. Because he has the money. So that's of no use. That, visualization doesn't do much to him. So, but somehow, with great difficulty, even though he cannot fathom what it is like to, all that one owns in the life is this begging bowl. It's so far away from his imagination. He somehow, with great difficulty, because he's a good actor, gets into the role. So one day they have to put Vicks vapor rub on his eyes to make him cry in the correct portions, where he begs and where he says, I don't have this, help, 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 trahimam, pahimam, palayamam, uddharamam, lift me up, save me, help me, protect me, take care of me. He has to say all these lines. And, whether in English or Sanskrit, doesn't matter, but he has to say them. And he can't even think about them. What do you mean, Palayamam? What do you mean? I'm fine. I don't need any help. But with great difficulty, he gets into the role. Second day, only 2 drops of glycerine is enough to make him cry. Third day, he's so one with the role that he cries without any props, any help at all. Nobody has to dangle his baby on the side of the, balcony to make him cry. Nothing. No visuals, no help. He just cries and he says, oh, what a blow fate has dealt me. And in addition to the lines by the script writer, he improvs. Yeah, this is called improvisation, improv for short. So extempore, he just delivers, in a very, faded way, like Totaka. He comes up a very faint comparison, no comparison at all. He comes up with his own lines and the director is impressed. The screenplay writer says, oh my God, let's take those lines. And you don't hear the words cut, cut, cut at all. Because it's just, he gives the whole take in one go. Fantastic. Only there is one problem. Because he's not able to get out of the role now. And so the costume director comes with some makeup removing to, all the scratches, cuts and all the dirt which was there. No, at least I have this, don't take this away from me. And the costume director says, sir, you may want to get out of these clothes. No. This is mine. They belong to me. No, your wife is calling. Oh, poor thing. Oh, that she's married to me. Poor thing came from a good, well-established financial family. Now she has to lead this life with me. No, you are actually rich. What rich? Look at my clothes. So then, then he has to go to a therapist along with Ravana. Not able to get out of the costume. This is our problem. This is the problem. This is what is called jiva, unable to come out, unable to see the truth. Completely identified with the costume. I'm a man, I'm a woman, oh, so weak, can't do anything, And then what? I'm a dog. Yeah, a dog also has identification along with its body. I'm a dog. That's why when it sees a cat, some dogs are so intelligent. You just have to say, one family I visited, they had the dog and then the child said that it even knows the spelling of cat. So you say C-A-T, and the fellow was sleeping. He woke up. Ah. So, and then, but if you say D-O-G, he has no reaction. Only C-A-T. C-A-T, no matter where he is in the house, he'll come running and growling because, because he feels he's a dog, and as a dog, he's supposed to not like cats. They are prey. They are supposed to be chased and they are irritating, Although some families have dog and cat together, but generally speaking, they are foes. And so, like this, this the body identification, not just body identification, upadhi identification. So that is what is called jiva. And then who is Ishvara? Oh my God. And then, in some religions, Ishvara means they have to look up. What for? I don't know. What is up there? I don't know. Yeah, this is how they do. Ishvara means immediately the eyes fly up, the head flies up. Immediately. And so, but for us, Ishvara is everywhere. And we don't need to do that. But Ishvara means it's something awesome. Oh my God. Ishvara is all-knowing. In relation to that, this beggared individual, beggar why? Because always asking for things. Yeah. Even Ishvara is not spared. You go to the temple, a whole lot of wants come in quick succession. In fact, so many things you want at a place of worship, you don't know what to ask for first. All of them come tumbling down. And so, this is the beggar is described as this jiva because never happy, always feels like I don't have, and always lamenting one's condition. Always lamenting and having problem with one's condition. This is the situation. And Ishvara means what? Oh my God, no comparison. Look at Bhagavan. Bhagavan means one who has 6 bhagas. Bhagasya asti iti Bhagavan. 6 bhagas means all Aishwaryam, all overlordship. What about the jiva's overlordship? Over the household dog. Yeah, that's all it is. I say sit, it sits. Actually, unbeknownst to me, it's only sitting because I have the dog biscuit in my hand. If I didn't have and told it to sit, it will not sit. It's more intelligent than we give credit for. Aishwaryam, samagram. Samagram means uninhibited, total Aishwarya. All knowledge, knowledge of the specific, knowledge of everything, knowledge of ice and how to make it melt, and glaciers and how these glaciers will power the water supply. All these things. Knowledge of seasons, knowledge of this, knowledge of all knowledge. Knowledge in general, knowledge in particular, sarva vetritvam, sarvajnatvam, everything. And then what? Samagra Shrihi. Lakshmi belongs to him. The mistake everyone makes is they think Lakshmi belongs to them. That's why she leaves and goes back to Lord Vishnu. She doesn't belong to you. She belongs to Vishnu. That's where she's always by his side. So all resources belong to him, belong to Bhagavan. So Jnanam, Aishwaryam, Shrihi, Samagram, Balam, all strength. Here this person has no strength at all. Even this Olympic weightlifter, there's you throw one feather on it, collapse. There is a limit. One small feather, down feather, from the insides of the bird, not even the outer ones, because at least they'll have weight. And then you put that on that. Even seeing it coming, he will drop it. Out of sheer fright, he will drop it. That is the balam, correct? Your balam is like that. Bhagavan's balam, endless balam. And then what? Samagram, vairagyam. So all Lakshmi belongs to him, yes, but he has no, he does not want anything. That's why you can make 56 varieties and put it in front of Lord Krishna. Chappan Bhog it is called. All 56 will be returned. It's not that he keeps the murukus and gives back the rest of it. No. Everything you give is returned. Lord Ganesha, Ganesh Chaturthi is coming. And so you make modaks. How many? 108. Yeah. He doesn't say, already this fellow who's offered the modaks is suffering from cholesterol problems. Let me give him 4 and eat 104. No. Always the same amount will come back. Vairagya, not wanting to own or possess anything. Contented completely. So Jnana, Aishwarya, Vairagya, Bala, Shrihi, and then finally Samarthyam. The ability to project the universe and the ability to sustain the universe and the ability to take it back. So the universe is just a projection of Bhagavan, like even your dream. Effortlessly projected. You don't have to plan your dream and say, oh my God, I'm so tired, it's such a complicated dream. So there is no, dream is effortless. It just happens. So too, sankalpa matrena, tapasa chiyate brahma, Mundakopanishad says. Just that sankalpa, satapotapyata, by this contemplation on the previous cycle of the universe, already the new cycle, the blueprint has been already made. And then in certain other religions, it's a little difficult, you have to add some things there. Who made the world? God made the world. Of what did he create the world with? What's the answer? Nothing. He made the world out of nothing. We Vedantins have to help and write the word else. Nothing else other than his own Shakti. That Maya Shakti is the one that's that projecting. She is the projector of everything that is in Bhagavan's head, that needs a projector. She is the projector. Vikshepa Shakti. This Maya has the Shakti of projection. And projection is no fun without what? Avarana. And in America, I've heard the word avarana. No. Yeah. Avarana. Avarana and Vikshepa. The two forces of Maya. Maya Shakti has got a few tricks up her sleeve. What is the first trick? She projects the one into as though many. You see 1, 2, 3, 4, you can count species, genuses, everything. Each thing is separate from, another thing. Even if, a family had this, 8 babies, 6 babies. Nowadays with this IVF, all this is very common. So they have 6 children. And even though they are all, coming out at the same time, still each one has its personality. Maya Shakti. You can't all treat them all alike. And as they grow up, they have their likes and dislikes, they have their raga dveshas, each one, they may look alike, but that's where the similarity ends. So, this is called Vikshepa Shakti, that which projects this one truth, that one self-aware consciousness, that one awareness, which the only existent thing, it makes it into as though many existences. In fact, existences is not even a word, even in English. Existence, one. It's the source. So that is her first trick. What is her second trick? Emboldened by the first trick, she says, why should they find out this very quickly? Yeah. Avarana. That avarana is ignorance, self-ignorance. So the avarana stops me from calling the spoof, on the vikshepa. Because of avarana, because my avarana means covering. Where is the covering? Don't look somewhere else. It's where the one who is looking is covered. And that is the discovery that I am as though covered. Thank God the covering is as though, a few things in our vocabulary as Vedantins we need. Pot, clay, rope, snake, and then what else? As though. As though. This as though makes everything, A professor who was teaching Vedanta a long time ago, Vedanta, he was a philosophy professor, in Berkeley, went to Pujya Swamiji. and wanted to have a discussion with Vedanta. And Swamiji was very impressed. Oh, Vedanta professor, wonderful. Please let us have a talk. And he said, Swami, there's only, yeah, Swami, no G, no respect. So therefore just Swami. Yes, what? I want to ask you one thing. I had a small question on Vedanta. What? Well, I understand everything. Only two things I don't understand. What are the two things? Satyam, I don't know. Mithya, I don't know. If Satyam and Mithya are not understood, then what? Nothing is understood. And then, Swamiji said, I think we need to have a longer conversation. Okay, Swami, I will see you tomorrow. Yeah, you can't have only two. Two things means what? This is the only thing. The truth is that self-conscious consciousness, that is the truth, and everything else, we don't dismiss it. This is another problem. Shankara dismisses the world. Shankara, who is Shankara to dismiss the world, Shankara says world is mithya. World itself declares I am mithya. If you have any doubts, just go to sleep, not in the class, after the class. Have a nice nap after the class, then where is the world? Let's say there was a kind of a researcher, The researcher was trying to figure out, and this is an ontological researcher. Ontology means the truth of why things are the way they are, the truth of reality. Ontology, a tall word, yes. And so this ontological professor, let us say, this is a made-up scenario. So the ontological professor is sitting and worrying. What is this? What consciousness? What awareness? How do I know that I know? That's an interesting thing. In fact, how do I know that I don't know? And when I know, how will I know that I know? All these things, and he cannot, or he or she cannot understand all the answers. And inquiring into the status of the world, he or she goes to sleep. Good night, professor. Okay? Then, then what happens? What happened to the inquiry? Gone. And you know what else? The fun of this is the inquirer is also gone. The inquirer is snoring. Inquiry is gone. Okay, that's not a big deal. In sleep, everything is gone. Inquiry is gone. Inquirer, the status of the inquirer, gone. All that is that one consciousness which upon waking will tell, I don't even know when I went to sleep. I don't know how I slept. I slept very well. I don't remember anything. Sukham aham aswapsam. Wonderfully I slept. Nakinchida vedisham. I didn't know anything. But you knew that knowledge was there enough to know that I did not know. That's what it is. So that this duality between the object of inquiry and the inquirer, that is a spoof. That is mithya. We don't say mithya is false. We say mithya is that which is a dependent reality. It needs a stick. It cannot walk by itself. It's on a walker. What? Mithya. The whole Jagat and all the things, they are on a walker. And then what is the walker? It's Satyam. Satyam is the rod with the help of which Mithya slowly walks. If you take away the rod, then what happens? It all collapses. Mithya doesn't have a leg to stand on. So that is the first definition of mithya. Adhishthana ananyat. Ananyat means non-separate from the adhishthana, the truth. It is just the truth. It's non-separate from it. And then what? But it is a dependent reality. It is a dependent upon that very truth. So therefore, adhishthana ananyat. It is depending on that stick. Without that stick, it is gone. It's totally gone. First definition. Then the second definition is what? It is anirvachaniya. Anirvachaniyam mithya. Nirvachana means a definitive statement. You know, does this flower exist? Nice one. To make the matter interesting. Does this flower exist? Huh? Yes? Huh? Does this flower exist? Huh? Ah. See, these are all, what should I say, over Vedantified students.
There is a flower in Swami museum.
Yes, so Swami, Swami holding a flower, holding flower, let's say for the moment, we will argue flower is, because nobody else is saying I am taking the Purva Paksha, okay? What shall I say? Flower is, okay? And then, then you start looking into the flower. Is this flower? No, non-flower. Put it away. Is this flower? I don't like to do this, but supposing I picked out one petal. Is that flower? No, it is petal. Okay. Is this flower? No, that is stem, So that's not flower. Is this flower? No, that's the hip of the flower, Yeah, even roses have hips. Yeah, it's called rose hip. Yeah, very hip. And so that is the hip. This is the stamen. That is the, petal. That is the stem. And what I just took out is, I suppose, a leaf. So, and so where is flower? No, put it all together. Okay, put it together. You make one just like this. No, out of crepe paper I will make. Like even in Christianity they have understood this much, because they're really amazing. There is a very nice story where God and man, not woman, only man, God and man had a fight. And then man said to God, whatever you do, I can do better. Bhagavan said, God said, "Theek hai, no problem, we are on. The challenge is on." So this fellow took some dirt from the ground to make something to show God. And God said, get your own dirt. Don't take my dirt. So this is how it is. Everything is, non-flower makes up non-flower elements. This is mithya. Non-flower elements makes up flowers, chapati elements make chapati, because if you say chapati, what is chapati? Wheat is not chapati, this is not chapati, that is not chapati, nothing is chapati. Non-car elements make a car. Everything has to be put together. Okay, go to the junkyard, get some pieces. And then, but then it needs gas. Okay, pour some gas. No, then it needs to be ignited. Okay, ignite. Ignite. Is it car or bekar? Really. What is this? So really speaking, this is the crux of this is so interesting. Maya means mithya. That is what anirvachaniya. You cannot say it doesn't exist, because it is there as a transactional reality. It is there in order to the flower change. See, this is Maya. Magic. It has darkened in color and changed the species. Yeah. Yeah, see? We strive to keep it interesting. You see how it changed? Right in front of your very eyes, it changed. See, that was straight, and this is supposed to be like a lantern. It is drooping. So many changes. This is Maya. In-class demo of Maya. And so where is flower? The flower you cannot say doesn't exist, because, what am I trying to see the fragrance of? What am I touching? This is the touch of Ishvara, really like velvet it is. And, you can make the flower, but it will not be like this. Even if you take silk, satin, velvet, it will not mimic this. And you can even put some artificial rose scent and make a rose. But this touch is the definitive pramana that this is the real thing. But anyhow, even with this so-called real flower, it is not real at all. Why? Because it is made up of everything non-flower. But can you say flower doesn't exist? No. Why? Because I'm holding it in my hand and it is available for you to see. And so therefore what? Anirvachaniyam. Categorically it cannot be established and categorically it cannot be dismissed. And this is why our lives are so iffy, because I can neither affirm anything in my life, starting from occupation, marriage, children, nothing can be affirmed. And then nothing can be dismissed and denied either. This is called samsara, stuck neither here nor there, stuck in the whirlpool of Maya. This is what it is. It's a veritable whirlpool, has sent me on a spin. This is called the Mayik spin. Yeah. And so that is like the, just constantly being in a spin. Maya keeps you on your toes. And why am I talking about so much about Maya? Because remember I talked about the two dresses, one glorious and one inglorious. Who do you think is the tailor? She is the tailor. As though she is the tailor that has stitched the two dresses. So what does this beggar jiva has to do? Take off. Yes, take off the clothes. And the jiva has to not just take off, disrobe the cloak of ignorance, has also to disrobe the cloak of grandeur that surrounds Ishvara. Otherwise the teaching is not complete. We are not dismissing Ishvara. We are dismissing Ishvaratvam and Jivatvam, not even dismissing, showing that they are one. Is not a dismissal. So, Ishvaratvam and Jivatvam, one and the same, not two different things. And so, therefore, what? This is something we have to totally comprehend. We have this is a, it's not optional. This has to be understood. And what is it that has to be understood? That this Jiva and Ishvara are not two separate entities. The separation factor is mithya. And the accoutrements of separation, like the different dress, different upadhi, limited upadhi, unlimited upadhi, ocean wave, like that, all that, the accoutrements and the accessories of the dress are also mithya. That I don't know that the two are one, that ignorance is also mithya. Really. Because, really speaking, there is no ignorance. Oh, then what am I doing here? As though ignorance, as though jnanam, as though shishya, as though guru, as though pursuit. Really? That's what Dakshinamurti Stotram says. Shishyacharyataya tathaiva pitruputradhyatmana bhedatah swapne jagrati vaya esha purusho maya samachhadanat. Maya paribhramitah. Paribhramitah. Pari means nicely, all round. Bhramitah, caused to be deluded. So Maya is not illusion. We have to be very careful. The only illusion is that Maya is an illusion. There is no other illusion. So Maya is that which if I don't understand, I get taken in by. As though separation is Maya. So here, in the Dakshinamurti Stotram, Adi Shankara says, that which is separated as Shishya and Acharya, Shishya feels I'll never know what the Acharya knows. I'll always be this lowly, sad Shishya, happy Acharya. And how will this happen? How will I be like my teacher? That's even a dream that I cannot even afford to have. This is what Shishya thinks. Then the putra thinks of the father. Same way, the child thinks of its parents. Oh, they can walk, they can talk, they can make decisions. I'm such a small thing. I'm ordered around. I can't even do anything properly. These are all the differences. And then, and then what? Whether waking or sleeping or dreaming, this Maya is there. This Maya is very much in play until what? Until this self-knowledge, until this Viveka, Jiva Ishvara Viveka has to come to understand that this separation is as though. Otherwise it becomes some kind of a new age thing, because in this new age they also say I am God. But then they say, if I'm God, I should be able to say poof and you should disappear, but you are still here. What's wrong? Really, this is how this thing. But as Vedantins, we understand that it's not that just because you know you are non-separate from Ishvara, that you have to have some kind of a halo and crown on the head and then suddenly have 20 arms like goddess Durga, each one holding one yantra. No. You don't need that. In fact, being in this miserable body, in this loda body, and this non-existent mind, you can still be free. You are free despite the body, not because of the body. You are free despite the mind, despite the fact that you can't remember anything. You still are Ishvara. This is the glory. So we don't have any pressure. So that the disrobing of the cloak of ignorance, that's why I said it is as though. You don't have to have an out-of-body experience to know you are Ishvara. In fact, it's not about experience at all, because you're experiencing Ishvara all the time. When is a time that you are away from Ishvara? Tell me. You try to go away from Ishvara, you will not succeed. In fact, that becomes a very important meditation. Let me try to be away from Ishvara. How will you be away? I'll go lock myself up in a room. Room is Ishvara. Locking is Ishvara. In fact, what is in the body, mind, sense complex is Ishvara. Body is Ishvara. Mind is Ishvara. No. I'll go to Himalayas. So, Himalayas are Ishvara. I don't know where these things come from, and they have a abiding presence. They just don't go. How many times you correct? Yeah. So I'll go to Himalaya. Himalaya is Ishvara. No, I'll just go to the end of the earth. End of the earth is Ishvara. I'll take Mangalayana, the Mars vehicle, and go off to Mars. Ishvara. I'll go to, Jupiter on Juno. I'll sit on Juno and go, That is Brihaspati, Ishvara. I'll go to Pluto, it's a non-planet. Still Ishvara. It may be demoted from being a planet, but it is still promoted to Ishvara in our vision. Non-separate from Ishvara. Where are you going to go? I'm going to move to another galaxy, which is close by. Andromeda, Ishvara. No, I'll be in between two galaxies hanging in space. Ishvara. Space is Ishvara. Go to Chidambaram, you will understand. Yeah. Space is Ishvara. They worship, there is just a garland. That is called the Rahasya of the temple in Chidambara. There is no icon. There's just a garland, and cleverly they have hung it up with nylon thread. And you don't see anything. Then you say, what is this? If you were to garland space, that's what it would look like. Space is deified as Bhagavan there. No, I'll go deep like a submarine, glub, glub, glub. I'll go underwater. Underwater is Ishvara. Above water is Ishvara. And this fellow that is striving to be above water is also Ishvara. Everything is Ishvara. How are you going to go away from Ishvara? So this going towards away is all just this is just ignorance. Going away, going towards all this. And so Jiva, Ishvarayoho, Viveka. Viveka means the correct way, which means to, the root verb is which, to discriminate, between which and which is which. That is what you have to know. That's why it is called which. Now you'll not forget this root verb. Yeah. Which, and it's called vivekaha. Special which, special way to discern is called vi. That vi is the first vi is the, the first vi is the visarga, not upasarga, is the prefix. And then the word is vekaha. Vekaha means wake up. Yeah, awakening. Yeah, wake up to who? That you are non-separate from Bhagavan. So you disrobe the jiva here. How do you disrobe the jiva? You say body, not I. Correct? Not me. Mind, not me. Just like we disrobed this flower. So senses, not me. Because I can be without all of them. And the one who is the observer, that is me, that sakshi, that witness of everything. That is me. Only when there is something to witness. When there is nothing to witness, what am I? I am all awareness. That conscious awareness is me. So one side, the dismantling of the accoutrements of Maya has been accomplished. Then that is not enough for the knowledge. You have to go over the other side, Ishvara side, and do the whole thing. Sarvajnatvam, that consciousness plus sarvajnatvam, that consciousness plus a dress of all strength, that consciousness plus a dress, a crown. I am Ishvara, I am the Lord of all, I am the goddess, I am this, I am that. The Viveka Chudamani does a beautiful metaphor. Compares Raja, the king. The king is wearing the crown and sitting and has got that scepter, this stick, which is the insignia of rulership, and is sitting on the throne with people fanning, and then women playing, music instruments to and dancing to entertain, and somebody, the trusted aide feeding them grapes. This is the king. And then who is at the door? Dwarapalaka. Who is the Dwarapalaka? The sentry. The sentry is wearing a uniform and is standing there. And then what, And then the Viveka Chudamani author says, when no one is looking, switch the costumes. Switch the costumes. Put this good-for-nothing Raja in the sentry's costume. Put the sentry in the Raja's costume. With all these crowns and beards and this thing, you don't even see the person. Yeah, nobody recognizes the king other than through the insignia of the king. And if the sentry were to take off all the, especially that Buckingham Palace sentry, the hat is as high as the person, looks like a big bee, bumblebee. And, so that sentry, if that sentry took over this paraphernalia, because there is a coat of arms and then there is all this you have to carry and the complicated, what is that, uniform, and all these stars and sequins and buttons and frills and whistles and bells, by the time you take it off, then, you cannot recognize that the person is a sentry. Sentry means no entry. That is how you know this person is the sentry, because of the uniform. You recognize the king because of the clothes, because of all the grandeur surrounding the clothes. Yeah, that's how it is. And sometimes in the modern India, it becomes very difficult. Pujya Swamiji tells the story. He went to inaugurate this restored library, which Aurangzeb had destroyed. In Tanjavur, there is one Saraswati Mahal library, very famous. So they had restored all the manuscripts and they had invited some dignitaries to do this inauguration. And then, Swamiji was one of the dignitaries. And then what happened? They said, we have to wait because the Maharaja of Tanjavur is coming. Oh, wonderful. And Swamiji thought maybe he'll come in a chariot or at the most, a car. Maybe Mercedes-Benz or maybe even an ambassador car. No, he came in a tuk-tuk, Tuk-tuk means a tricycle. He came in a cycle rickshaw. Yeah, not even the automated one. So, because they have taken away all the grandeur, when they became part of India, they gave up everything except a little purse they get every month, privy purse, and they get to hold their title and to do they'll do a little function and cut a ribbon here and do something there. That's it. So he came in a cycle rickshaw. And Swamiji said that was one of the most anticlimactic moments of his life, because he expected some grandeur along with the entry of this Raja. Because before that cycle rickshaw came, 2 sentries came and they announced over this big megaphone, Raja Dhiraj, Maharaj, and something, his name, his father's name, his grandfather's name, from this lineage, some Chola lineage is coming, and everybody said, where? And then slowly, This is what it is. So, really speaking, if you strip the king of the paraphernalia, it's like a common citizen. Nothing awe-inspiring, correct? Nothing at all. Because this is what it is. So the Ishvaratvam is mithya. You can't say Ishvara is mithya. Ishvara means that consciousness is called Ishvara. And that consciousness alone with its robe. What is the robe? The robe of grandeur, the robe of having a status. Jagat Karta, Jagat Dharta, Jagat Samharta, the creator, sustainer, and the destroyer, resolver of this Jagat. It's a very big fancy title that goes with the dress and all the accoutrements. You have to be able to see through. Vedanta gives the X-ray vision. Without needing to disrobe, you see through. That's what it is. Yeah, and then you say what? You compare the X-rays, the bones of Jiva and Ishvara, one and the same. Tattvamasi. This is what it is. Yeah, this is Vedanta radiology. And so this is the whole thing. There is no difference. Because what is this Ishvara? A glammed up, glamorized consciousness. A consciousness which is attributed with being the ruler of the universe. That attribute is dispensable. How do we know? Because in between cycles of creation, there is no Ishvaratvam, there is no rulership. There is no need to rule, because rule means rule over. There should be at least two things. And there is no crying Jiva as well. Everything is all one. That same consciousness morphs as though it is Jiva, as though it is Ishvara, as though it's the Jagat. Jiva, Jagat, Ishvara, this is the Triputi, this tripod, Yeah, this whole house is full of tripods for that reason. This Triputi, Jiva, Jagat, Ishvara, Bheda, and that is resolved by another Triputi, Prasthanatraya, study of what? Upanishad, Bhagavad Gita and Brahma Sutra. Yeah, so for this tripod we have a Tata tripod. No problem. Yeah, this tripod is just, the legs of it are knocked off by the daddy tripod of knowledge of these three main texts. When you study, then the spoof is completely called, and then there is nothing more to see. It's not that you want to have an out-of-body experience or you want to become one with Ishvara. It's the same. And you can still be a devotee, a jnani bhakta. Before also you were ajnani bhakta, now you are a jnani bhakta. That's the only difference. And so therefore, this kind of a viveka between who? Jiva and Ishvara, please give me. Not give me the viveka, make me into one who is just like you, who sees through the whole thing. Give me that X-ray vision. And this is what the Lord tried to give Arjuna in chapter 11. He says, in the beginning of chapter 11, this is, chapter 11 doesn't mean bankruptcy. I'm talking of chapter 11 of Bhagavad Gita. Here, in America, if you say chapter 11, people start getting worried. That's why I quickly had to say Bhagavad Gita, where Vishvarupa Darshana is shown. First he said, Divyam dadami te chakshuhu. I'll give you a new pair of glasses, Google glasses. That's how they got the idea. Bhagavan said, I'll give you 3D what? 3D is nothing. I'll give you 4D glasses. I'll give you all kinds of glasses. Fourth dimension also you can see with this. I'll give you a special pair of glasses through which you can see my Vaibhava, my miracles and my greatness and my grandeur without any difficulty. But those glasses worked and they didn't work. They worked because he could see everything. He could see Duryodhana dangling between the two teeth of the Lord, crying for his life. But then he could not see himself as part of the whole thing, because that jnanam had not yet come. So therefore what? Therefore he started to feel afraid, I am going to be next. I'll be chewed by the back teeth of the Lord. At least Duryodhana is visible, he is waving. I'll be just a little small bite which goes to the back of the mouth. I'll be ingested, digested, and he says, please come back to your original shape and form, having that nice flute and that peacock feather. I can't handle this, he says. Come back. Chakrinam, Gadinam, your chakra, Gada, all this is fine. That is enough. I can handle this. You come back, because that separation he was not able to bridge because his ignorance was not yet dropped. So the dropping of the ignorance, meaning unraveling the accoutrements of everything that doesn't really belong, because the dress doesn't belong to consciousness. Ishvaratvam is not an intrinsic property of the consciousness. It's an incidental attribute to the consciousness. Jivatvam, an incidental attribute to the consciousness. Like even from the standpoint of clay, the pot is an incidental expression. Correct? Because the clay can be in so many ways. It can be in the form of a lump on the roadside. It can be in the form of a beautiful Krishna figurine. It can be as a lid, as a saucer, as a cup, as another pot. So from the standpoint of the clay, it can just enjoy itself as this little pot. If clay knows I am clay, then the manifestation of the pot will not scare the clay. It can enjoy the manifestation because it's an incidental manifestation. But from the standpoint of the pot, is the same true? Can the pot, which is mithya, that is dependent completely on the clay for its existence, say that to me clay is incidental? No. Clay is intrinsic to the pot. Pot is just incidental to clay. That is how it is. So from the standpoint of Sat, that only existing thing is I, which that I means decoded and, completely disinfected of the body identification, mind identification, that I, that which is all awareness, all consciousness. From the standpoint of this I, everything is a value added plus. I plus body, yippee, wonderful. It's like infinite plus one. Big deal, yeah. I plus mind, wonderful. I plus Ishvaratvam, wonderful. I plus Jivatvam, wonderful. Because that I happens to be infinite, no matter what you tack on and what you take out, does not take away or add to the I. And that is Jiva Ishvara Yoho Viveka. That is the Viveka, that is the discriminative knowledge. So make me into that discriminative knower who abides in the knowledge without any shadow of doubt. Kalaya Jiveshvara Viveka Vidam Mam Kalaya He Bhavashankara He Deshika Me Sharanam. So more we will see tomorrow. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om. Now there is a function there in Mukambika Shrine. Till 4 o'clock it will be there. Ganesh Chaturthi. So I'm planning to go at 3:30. Yeah, so. Huh?
Dr. Hari will give a talk tonight.
Yeah, Dr. Hari is talking at 6 o'clock. Yeah.